My name is Randall Callanan, and I'm a civil rights lawyer, and I'm here today with Shanita Terrell, who was brave enough to stand up and report that she had been sexually assaulted by a Harris County Sheriff's deputy, Michael Hines, while he was in uniform and driving a squad car at the address, which is a place that serves alcohol more than 51%. It's called, you're in a certain category if you serve more than 51%, and this place serves more than 51%. And we're here today to announce that Michael Hines has pled guilty to felony attempted sexual assault. And he has received, according to his own lawyer, 10 years as a sex offender. Now during this, and he's also on deferred adjudication for 6 years, so he has a very lengthy list of requirements that he has to do in order to successfully complete the 6 years. And if he doesn't, it could be possible then that he will then be convicted. Furthermore, he can no longer carry a weapon. That right has been taken from him. And when it comes to Ms. Terrell, he was wearing this weapon when he assaulted her. That's a part of the coercion, to be not only in the uniform, but then having the weapon, that gun. But he can no longer have a gun by his own agreement. So we're here today, and Shanita is here today, to say women can stand up. Now Shanita, she was intoxicated, she was at a bar, but that doesn't give anybody the right to do what they did. And although it was just her and him, and she was intoxicated, he decided to plead not guilty to felony attempted criminal assault. And I'm happy to represent Shanita, bravely coming forward. And we're also here to complain about the fact that when officers work off duty at bars, the bar gets to borrow or buy the governmental immunities. A lot of people don't know this, but let's say at the bar you hired a regular security guard, Pinkerton, let's say. If they do something wrong, then you are dealing with common negligence laws. However, when you get to pay for sheriff's deputies, then you get to borrow the immunity. So that bar gets protections because they're government deputies. The Houston Police Department has decided not to work security at bars, but the Sheriff's Department has not. And that sort of lends and this mixture of, bars where there's sometimes a lot of drinking, maybe drugs. One of the people out there testified that sometimes there's gunfire at this club. It really sets up a bad view in the eyes of the public. But most importantly, I know it's complex legal jargon, but let me tell you, basically, when officers work at clubs, the clubs are basically getting to buy that governmental immunity that they don't get if they get the Pinkertons or private security guards to work. And we have several members of the public here to speak. First, we'll hear from Shelby Stewart.
My name is Shelby Stewart, S-H-E-L-B-Y-S-T-W-A-R-T. I'm a retired Houston Police Sergeant and a civil rights activist. Today there's a stain on the integrity of the Harris County Sheriff's Department. When you allow people to become police officers, you give them a badge and a gun, they become intoxicated with the power that they have. And if they have the worst instincts so that they shouldn't be in that job, they prey upon people. They forget the tenet of law enforcement, which is to protect and serve. And if there are more women out there that this has happened to, they need to come forward.
Thank you very much. Next we'll hear from Jeff Reese.
Hi, my name is Jeff Reese. I'm a retired sergeant from the Harris County Sheriff's Office after 26 years. And I'm here to speak about the disciplinary process. When I was there was an African American deputy who didn't pay for his shoe shine, which was a quarter. There was a white officer who also didn't pay for his shoe shine. The black officer was fired for that 25 cents. The white officer got a reprimand, a verbal reprimand. There's a discrepancy in the disciplinary process in law enforcement that most people wouldn't realize unless you're on the other side. So this young deputy, or maybe not so young, he had some other offenses that were overlooked until it came time where, again, he was working an extra job. Now, to work an extra job, it has to be approved by your supervisor. And then it's on file, and you have to get it approved by the department. So they're acting under color of law, but they're also acting under color of the Harris County Sheriff's Office, which allows them to wear the uniform and their sidearm. For me personally, I was investigated for over 2 years. And according to our own policy, you're supposed to resolve it within the calendar year. In my case, they didn't. They kept it going for 2 years because I was on the list to get promoted, and I had a lot of enemies, and maybe rightfully so. In my case, they accused me of giving an inmate a cup of coffee, which I had admitted to. But yet they kept an investigation open for 2 years on that. It's ridiculous. But there was an ulterior motive on their side as to why they did it. I'm probably the only person in the history of the Harris County Sheriff's Office that's been promoted and suspended on the same day. The day I was promoted, I got a call from the major and said, "Do you know that gold badge we gave you?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You need to bring it back. You're being suspended." For 2 years before, when I gave that inmate a cup of coffee. So it is what it is. In law enforcement, there's their own standards, and in the public, there's another set of standards. And so for this young lady, it took a lot of courage to do what she had to do to stand up to it. So I had to back her up and say, hey, anything I can do and anything I can testify for, I'm willing to do it. And so if you have any questions, I'll be here. I can probably talk all week on the discrepancies in the disciplinary process in law enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll hear from Agustin Pineda.
Good morning. My name is Agustin Pinedo, former probation officer, also past LULAC district director. And we're here today, and let me prefix that by saying that I think highly of law enforcement officers. Having worked in the field myself, there's a lot of good people in law enforcement, but there are bad apples there, and the problem is that sometimes the system gives them too much of the benefit of the doubt, too much of treating them with soft gloves. Like, let me give you an example here. This individual, Michael Hines, he had a previous offense for sexual abuse of a child or sexual assault, not sure which, and he was no billed. That means he was not tried. He was dismissed. And then he picked up another offense for assault of a family member. I believe he beat up on his girlfriend. And for that, he was given 3 months probation. That means he didn't see any jail time. He got 3 months deferred adjudication. So he was off his record after 3 months. And again, treated with kid gloves, okay? And again, he commits another offense against this young lady who, after hours in a nightclub, she was not feeling well, whatever the situation. He gave her a ride in his vehicle, and then the next day she realized that something had happened, that she had possibly gotten raped. So she went and checked, got a rape kit, and sure enough, they found this officer's DNA in her, proving that she had in fact been raped while she was in the car. Now he finally, now he did get deferred adjudication probation. And again, he kind of got a break because somebody with that record of offenses probably would have gotten prison time. But again, the system is treating him with kid gloves, gave him deferred adjudication. If he successfully completes, he has no conviction. So again, we're talking about abuses of power and the fact that the system does not clamp down on these individuals. So they go on, they continue doing criminal things until they do something horrendous, like in this case, or they murder somebody or whatever. Now we're calling for an end to this preferential treatment. We want everybody to be treated accordingly to the offenses they commit, and we have to hold these law enforcement officers to a very strict guidelines, because after all, they have the power of life and death, and they're the guardians of our liberty and our democracy. Thank you.
Augie, just hang on 1 second. Let me ask him a question. Does anybody need Spanish? Two of them need Spanish. Okay, so
Spanish?
You can do Spanish, please.
Yo soy Agustín Pinedo. Antes trabajé con el departamento de probation y fui el director de LULAC, Distrito 18. Estamos hoy aquí para llamar atención al caso de esta jovencita que fue abusada sexualmente por el oficial Michael Hines. Después de horas estaba trabajando el oficial de seguridad en un club y luego a la hora de cerrar esta joven no se sentía bien, este individuo la subió en su carro y que la llevó a la casa. Entonces ella pues no supo de ella, no sé si durmió, pero al día siguiente se dio cuenta que algo había pasado, que posiblemente fue abusada. Entonces acudió a las autoridades y le hicieron una investigación de rapto, que le hicieron un rape kit para chequear a ver si fue abusada. Y sí hallaron que fue abusada sexualmente porque hallaron el DNA de este oficial, de Michael Hines. Entonces se le dio deferred adjudication, probation, o sea, probatoria, pero probatoria que si lo termina bien, entonces no va a tener récord de convicción. Pero es importante saber que este individuo ha cometido otras ofensas anteriormente. Hubo un caso que se le acusó de abusar un menor. Entonces la corte, el gran jurado le dio no bill, o sea, tiraron el caso para afuera, no le pusieron cargos. Entonces también golpeó a su novia, la abusó físicamente y en ese caso sí le dieron 3 meses de probation y salió, no hizo nada de cárcel, sino que hizo el término probatorio. Entonces lo que estamos diciendo que hay una paterno de que se tratan los oficiales, se les da preferencia. Cuando se trata de cosas así de la ley, cosas criminales, les dan más chances a ellos que nos darían a nosotros, a ustedes o a nosotros que cometiéramos alguna ofensa. No se nos otorgaría esa deferencia que les dan a ellos. Entonces estamos hablando en contra de eso, que por eso pasan estos abusos, porque no se paran cuando debían, no enfuerzan la ley contra los oficiales. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Next we'll hear from Shanita. Now, Shanita has a civil case pending, so we're not going to speak today about the facts, and we don't want her to relive this again after going to the district attorney's office and reliving it. So if you have questions about what she would like to accomplish, and or how she feels, that's fine, but not about the facts of the case, because that's under litigation still. Well, yeah, I could speak on the facts. That would be fine. However, if you'd like to ask, you can still ask if she needed a question. It just can't be about the facts. So if any of you have a question, here you go. It is my understanding that it is against policy to give someone a ride home in a squad car, and furthermore, she was put into the front seat, and certainly not in the front seat of the squad car. You want this one?
It's partly. It's I got something done and I'm happy about it that I did get justice, but I partly got something done. It wasn't all the way justice. I don't feel like it was fair. He should have had jail time. Well, full justice for me looked like taking away everything, making sure that he never get a chance to hurt anybody else. You know, just getting back out there on the streets again, just so fast, how he did. Also, with the 10 years that he do have, I just feel like it wasn't much. He should have got more. It felt devastated. I felt just a lot of emotions, dealing with everyday life, just being fearful, just coming out and stuff, and just wondering if somebody's watching me or feeling like somebody's stalking me. You never know what's going on. It was just a lot of stuff I was going through. Just emotional. I did seek therapists, so yeah. It definitely changed the way I live, my surroundings. I had to move immediate after that happened. Just the safety of my well-being, just all around. I can't trust no one. And when it's time for me to call the cops, I don't think I would, because I'm scared. Like, would it happen again? Like, is it okay to go to officers? Like, is they against me or they with me? Like, it's just a lot. It was a trust thing that happened that night, and look what it turned out to be, you know? It was pretty, it was really, really terrible. Like, just to know that it came from an officer, and just to play back, like, you know, they there to protect us. That's what we pay our tax dollars for. And we don't even get protection from them. So, yeah. It was devastated that it happened from a police officer. It was devastating. Just do the right thing, come forward, tell the truth, and don't hide. If it happened, then speak on it, because everybody needs to know. Because it's probably more victims that it'll help out there. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That is correct. Two things. I would assume not, because remember, he had to sign that he cannot use a weapon, cannot possess a weapon anymore, and every law enforcement officer I know has to have a weapon, so I don't see how he could. Furthermore, when you get deferred adjudication on a felony, that still stays on your record, so you can't get that expunged. So anybody can look it up and see that he had that he pled guilty to felony attempted sexual assault. So in my opinion, I don't think he'll be having another law enforcement job as long as he lives. Well, we're going to find that out in the litigation. We don't know exactly the actual discipline. He doesn't work here any longer, so. The what? There is presently pending a civil case against the address bar. That's correct.
What kind of policies and procedures do you want to see changed within Harris County so that nothing like this happens again?
Well, the Houston Police Department does not allow its officers to work security at bars. I think the Sheriff's Department should do the same thing. Hospitals, sure. Grocery stores, no problem. But at bars, there's just so much going on at bars. Drinking, fights, public intoxication, that with all this going on at a bar, you have to ask yourself, do you really want these deputies there? And furthermore, as I mentioned to you, when it's officers working, then the bar actually gets to borrow governmental protections meant for governments. They actually, the way the law works is when if an officer is working as a security officer, generally he can claim that anything that happens like an injury is, I was doing that as a law enforcement officer, therefore I get qualified immunity. I get lawyers from Harris County to represent me. You have to prove that there's a pattern of practice, and oftentimes the bar, based upon the law, can just slide out of it by saying, oh, they were doing legal work, and so we're not liable. So basically, by paying these deputies, the bar gets to borrow governmental immunity, government lawyers, and all this stuff that comes along with it, which I don't think is fair. I think that should be reserved for not bars. Because in bars, once again, we all know fights occur in bars, assaults occur in bars, shootings occur in bars, and there's a lot, underage drinking occurs in bars, public intoxication can occur, trespassing can occur. We all heard of many crimes happening in bars, and I think it would be, the sheriff should not allow his deputies to work in bars.
The burden to prove accountability is much higher.
Right, exactly. Once again, if let's say you hired Pinkerton, which is private security guards, then they could be liable under a negligence standard. Or if the bar directly hired someone and just hired their friend Sam to be a security guard, then the bar could be directly liable if Sam did something wrong, so that people would get compensation. That's not what occurs when you go out and get a sheriff's deputy or other peace officer to work in your establishment. You can oftentimes, first of all, get a free lawyer. Harris County, taxpayers paying for that, and also you get all these protections, including potentially qualified immunity, as well as having to prove a pattern or practice to get the government liable. So it's really something that I think should change, and the Harris County Sheriff's Department should follow the Houston Police Department, who already does this, not allow bar security to be their deputies. This occurred approximately 3.5 years ago. Anything further? Okay. Oh, sure.
Just making sure nobody go through this that I went through no more, and just trying to heal process, just trying to be at ease with it, and try to do my therapy like I said, and just try to make sure this never happen again to no one else, and just move forward with life. That's all I can do, So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out.